everyone. Welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and the final episode of Season 2 of the Indie Show, episode 44. I'm a crazy person, but we are back for book 4 of Usagi Yojimbo. We do these about every 3 to 4 months. Yeah, it seems like. So we get one of these in. But I got my crew with me tonight. We got maybe Jimmy, the geek aficionado, if I could actually get the mouse on the thing where I could click. What's going on, man?
Doing well. Glad to be off of work and doing something more constructive with my day.
There you go. We got our man Alec, Whitewell Comics. What is going on, my friend?
Hey guys.
And last but not least, we got Louie. What is happening?
What's up?
So yeah, glad we were able to get this in. I'm curious to see what you guys thought of this, because this is a little different format than we're used to with Usagi. We got one story, one big story arc here. So Louis, what did you think of this? We'll start with you. Well, as the other newbie to Usagi, what did you think of this big story arc here?
I'm really enjoying it. Wasn't volume 2 was kind of one big story too, wasn't it?
Well, it had one story and then a bunch of others, but it had one chapter. Yeah,
there was a bigger arc to it.
Yeah,
but yeah, so I really like that, because just going through reading all this, just seeing Stan Sakai, he's way too good. Because the last one, it was just a bunch of one shots setting some things up, and they were all enjoyable. And then it's nice to just see everything come together in one big way. Yeah,
for sure. Alec, what about you? What did you think? What did you think of this volume on the reread?
I mean, obviously great, right? It's Usagi Yojimbo. You can't go wrong with it. I will say though, if I'm judging it in a vacuum, I enjoyed it less, I think, than some of the other volumes, personally. Yeah. And I don't know if it was just because, I got into this rhythm of reading them where they're just 1 to maybe 2 issue stories, and then it's this kind of, lack of a better term, epic in comparison.
Right.
It was just I still like the interactions and I still like the characters, but the storyline didn't grab me the way that I feel like it needed to be this big. But again, that's in a vacuum, comparing it against itself, because it's still better than 99% of the things you'll ever read.
For sure. Jimmy, what about you? What did you think of this?
Actually, for all the same reasons, I thought the exact opposite of Alec, because we had gotten the smaller tidbit stories and kind of laid the groundwork and the foundation for the Usagi, universe, for lack of a better term. It was great to actually have something that was compelling and kept you coming back and reading. Right? It wasn't. Yes, they were. The previous ones were fun stories, but this really did feel like it kind of more grabbed me and kind of kept the cliffhangers going and kept the interest alive with it. Right? With there was a lot of separate, disconnected plot threads happening and storylines happening that all come together in the last 2 issues. So that was very good, and they did a very Lord of the Rings-esque ending, where it was let's finish this guy's story and let's finish this guy's story and then let's finish this guy's story. So I thought that was pretty cool that they actually made sure that they tied up all the loose ends and didn't just we'll save that for 2 or 3 issues later.
So for me, maybe somewhere in between Jimmy and Alec on this, because it did grab me in terms of I enjoyed the bigger arc. Definitely not something though I need all the time. The one thing I will say to me was the drawback is they set up all of his friends and everything else and the role they played in this, but the villain of this, the Lord that's the villain of this, has not really been set up. We've been set up for the other guy, who actually ends up kind of helping him a little bit here. They end up on the same side. And so it was that was a little odd to me that he did this, and it was a completely different Lord that we were dealing with as the villain, as opposed to what we had been getting or were maybe, I guess, was expecting. But I did really enjoy it, as always, for sure. And I love the way they kind of pulled the different arcs of some of the characters back together for this. So yeah, awesome.
I wonder, like, and maybe I'm just dense and I didn't read between the lines, but there's a point towards the end where they reference the fact that, like, if they don't resolve this, it's going to be a massive civil war.
Right.
And I was under the impression, reading the first few issues of this arc, was that it was, these two, like, whatever emperors, whatever they are, these town leaders at war with each other. I didn't get the impression of how far-reaching it could be, I guess. And maybe if that was clearer early on, like the stakes would have been
not
higher.
so much, because it was they were talking about. So you had the different lords, that are involved, but this new lord that's introduced here, Noriyuki, is going after the shogun, right? And so when you have, it's like going after the president, and like, when you they're taken out, right, because they are a singular ruler, right? But there's this isn't one where it's like there's bloodlines and there's successors and stuff like this. It leaves a power vacuum, where all these other lords would kind of come in, and it would cause a lot of chaos.
Yeah, I took it kind of like the way Jimmy's describing it, is that like this guy was going for the show. Basically, the one we've seen all along that's been the bad guy is clearly like plotting against the shogun, but a little more strategically than this guy was. But basically, oops. Did I just kick him? No, we just lost him. Okay. I was like, I didn't kick him out, did I? Because thought maybe the cat stepped on my computer.
It was really weird, though, because, like, you leaned forward and he disappeared. I thought you were like, nope, you're gone.
Oh, there he's back. So I don't
what
know
the hell, man?
I don't know. The
Can't
cat
disagree
might have
with
stepped
him.
on the thing. I don't know what happened.
Blofeld's damn cat kicked me out.
Yeah, so we're going to don't walk on the computer no more. But to me, it was kind of like, this guy was going to try to take out the shogun and seize power, but the result of that wasn't going to be that all the other lords weren't necessarily going to just immediately bow to him. So that everybody was going to be like trying to stake their claim. As the what I took that to be, is it would most likely lead to a series of conflicts instead of being ridiculous.
Someone wants to be the star of the show tonight.
Yeah, apparently, instead of just a singular battle or conflict. So that's the way I took it, at least.
I don't know if in the collected editions you guys have this, but do you have an introduction from Stan Sakai?
The introduction in this.
Yes, there's like a few pages.
No. So at the end of the first issue,
there's an introduction by Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Yeah. No, there's a little note from Stan Sakai called "An Introduction to the Dragon Bellow Conspiracy."
Oh, I did not see that.
So check this out. It says, according to the Oriental Animal Zodiac, 1988, when this was published, is the year of the dragon. The dragon symbolizes brilliance, power, and boundless energy, and is the most honored of the animal signs. The Dragon Bellow Conspiracy was conceived in 1984. This is the storm that Tomoame referred to in The Confession. The story has gone through a lot of rewrites, and the major villain was changed, but basically it remained the same. Usagi 7 through 12 served as a prelude as new characters were introduced and old ones reintroduced. Gen, Tomoame, and Lord Noriyuki, Shingen, Zatoino, and Spot the Wonder Lizard all join Usagi in this 6-part tale.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I don't know if that's like just me. It almost sounds like maybe this was like his planned ending, and maybe it just caught on, and maybe he just changed it around somehow.
Yeah, like the final sounds like, it was meant to be the showdown between him and the other
Hikiji.
Yeah, the lord that we've been seeing all along, and then basically.
But I think they changed that out because I think they have bigger plans for Hikiji later on, based on how the final issue ended up.
So so that makes sense, because it does feel like this guy is kind of like sat down in his place. Like, we built up this other bad guy, and then this guy is like, oh, we're gonna have a different lord plotting the same kind of thing. So
not necessarily the same kind of thing, because they make allusions to the fact that he's more subtle in his movements, and this guy was a lot more overt in his play for power.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because that doesn't sound like Smaug at all.
Okay.
And these aren't Chinese dragons.
Japanese, yeah. But he was referencing the Chinese zodiac, right?
Yeah, he was referencing the Chinese zodiac, and actually, when you see him, like he does look more like because it's kind of the Dragon Ball Z, which is more of a Chinese dragon style representation of the dragon, a little bit. So when you see him in his little dream sequence or whatever, so
Did he say Chinese?
I think.
Well, that's the zodiac that they're going.
He said Oriental Animal Zodiac. So.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's just across multiple countries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, Japan started from China, so.
Yeah. Don't tell the Japanese that.
Right. Yeah. Whether they want to admit it or not.
I was gonna say they would not probably appreciate that. So, what do you guys think of? Let's start digging into this. Our little intro of we get to see Tomo in action again for her lord. So we get kind of the first chapter. We don't really see Usagi except for just briefly right at the end. It's really her story, and then we get a little bit of update on the other characters that are going to get pulled into this. But what did you guys think of this Tomo centered chapter and her mission? Jimmy, what did you think?
Interesting, because it starts off kind of, she's kind of a badass, right? But then she also has the damsel in distress role as well. Where Usagi feels that he has to rescue her because she's been captured and she's being tormented by this new lord. And it's a good setup, and it really kind of, it really brings a lot of the characters together, right? And it's telling a good story to kind of show that, where she faces off against a ninja while she's sneaking about in the storehouse and figuring out what's going on, and then you find because like the first page is her getting captured. Her first couple of pages is her getting captured, and then it does a brief rewind to set the tone and show where that's going.
Yeah, it's funny because she comes off as super capable, but just nowhere, not in the class of like Usagi and a few of these other characters. Like,
true,
clearly is worthy of her position, but still not truly elite, I guess.
Well, I mean, Usagi is supposed to be like top of the heap, right? Like he is the Goku of this story. But when you're facing off against like 12 other samurai, it's kind of hard to be like say that she is a lesser fighter necessarily.
Right.
Yeah, because he had been hiring Ronins across the land. This lord was, so she's basically facing off against a bunch of former Ronins, so they're all qualified swords people.
She's not fighting against like a bunch of scrappy bandits or whatever. They're all trained warriors.
Right.
I'm also curious, just as a side note, of what the death toll is in this series, because
oh my god,
like I feel like there's way more slaughtering than in other books that we read.
Quite possibly,
There's definitely like a lot of death in this one, and we'll definitely get to that. And death of recurring characters we actually get later in the story, which is something we hadn't really seen to this point in Usagi. So, or death of characters that aren't necessarily just bad guys from that perspective, like that we've seen.
Right.
Anything else though on her little side adventure before we get into kind of the next chapter? I keep digging through this. I guess maybe I said that wrong when I was saying that like she comes across as not like, because she comes across as super capable, but obviously still ends up being sort of the damsel in distress, which is like not really her fault, but it's like her plan to figure out what's going on. like how she sneaks in, how she has everything ready to try to make an escape. I just think it just shows her as more capable maybe than we've seen her at times previous to this, even though she still loses or gets captured ultimately. So that was where I was trying to go, I guess, instead of like.
And then like even when she's getting captured, like you can see it, like she has the elements against her, like it's raining, it's a storm. 12
They killed her
people
horse.
Yeah, they kill her horse. Like just situational, I guess, really.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing we get is right at the end of this is we get that our old friend Gino or not
Genosuke
Genosuke is hunting our other old friend, the Ino, the pig without a nose. Our blind
the blind pig without a nose.
Yeah,
the blind swords pig, yeah.
With the wooden nose, which is just so weird.
Which did this some of my favorite moments of this were from not necessarily their interaction, but this storyline where Jen is like every step of the way, whenever something wrong happens, he blames it on Eno.
Yeah.
Where he's like,
"Oh, damn, if it wasn't so raining outside, I wasn't chasing him. I could spend the night in a warm hut.
For this bandit, I wouldn't have fallen down this hill."
I'd be hanging out with these two chicks. Yeah.
I just think it's funny. Always just passing the buck of blame. Where it's like, you put yourself in this position, buddy.
Yeah, and I mean, he's making a choice to go after this particular bad guy. It's not like anyone's forcing him.
But it's so in his character to be like that.
Oh yeah, it's perfectly in his character to be like, this guy, this weather sucks, and this guy is like putting me through all these hardships, and it's like, no, you're choosing to do that. But I do love the sequence, and I think it's in the second issue where Eno finds the hot springs, and meanwhile, Gens, he's walking through the horrible weather, and he's like, at least he's miserable and freezing also, and it's like, no.
He's happy.
No, he's sitting in a hot tub with two girls.
Yeah. Oh.
Which also, almost seemingly a super creepy, smooth move where he's like, "Oh, don't worry about me, girls. I'm blind."
Yeah.
I mean, he actually is, but like, yeah.
Yeah, he's totally like, you don't have to, I'm completely, no threat, ladies, no threat. Yeah. So the other thing that happens here at the beginning of the second chapter is we do get officially introduced to our bad guy here, Lord Tamakuri, or Kuro Tamakuro, and his interrogation to find out, what Tomo knows, and we get some of his plot, I guess, revealed to us. But we also get so what did you guys think of him as a villain? What did you guys think overall just of him as the villain of this lord that we're getting here?
He's
Alex,
a very twisty mustache kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they did really even draw him with like the little thin mustache. What did you think of him, Alec?
He kind of reminded me of like Emperor Scroob from Spaceballs, where he's just like kind of a dope, but also in charge. I don't know. Like he didn't seem very threatening to me.
No,
same combination I've got on my luggage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
two.
can clearly like see throughout this, and we get the line later that this Captain Trame is like, he's serving a lord that he knows is an idiot. He's like, this is who I serve.
Because of my Ronin code, like I have pledged to serve him, so this is my lot in life now.
Yeah, and it's just like, you see him all throughout, and to me, he's the much more interesting character is the captain and not the main villain.
To be fair to the main villain, he has every right to be upset with all of the screw ups the guy does, because he does like.
I trusted you.
Yeah. he's the one who says, "Oh, we should promote Usagi." He's the one who like loses him, you know.
Yeah.
Or like at least under his watch. So yeah, like he should take the blame. He's not like being a punching bag for the guy's own mistakes. Like
No.
you messed up.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And like, and it's clear that he like the captain sees Usagi as an actual warrior and someone with the code, and he thinks wrongly that Usagi's actually going to join when he like promotes him, is that he's taking the code as well. Like that Usagi actually sees him as his master, and he doesn't. He never.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely this, of course. So, hate to go, what's going on, my friend? So the other thing we get is that we see our Nico ninjas again, and the guy we've seen in the last that was trying to steal the sword that fought Usagi the last time believes Usagi killed a bunch of his guys because Usagi was, found them already dead, attacked by this other village.
Seen leaving the village with blood on his clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the reintroduction of this ninja?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you guys know, but Neko in Japanese is cat. So they're literally just the cat ninjas.
Cat ninjas. Okay, I did not know that. So there you go.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's very funny that, like, for storytelling purposes, the main ninja doesn't wear a mask, but like, why wouldn't he wear a mask?
Yeah. Yeah, he's really. I mean, you see him like if he's on a mission or something. Sometimes he'll wear one. Like he wore one when he first got introduced, but for the most part, you're right. He never wears a mask.
Even like when they're in that later, when they go to that like underground hideout, everyone is in full uniform and mask, and he's just like walking around, showing his face off.
Well, otherwise, how would you know he's the one in charge? He's just another guy with a hood on his head, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a storytelling thing, but it is a suspension of belief thing.
Sure, right. And it didn't
like so much
it
when
didn't
he's in the cavern, but when they go to attack the fortress, later on, he doesn't have anything on.
Right, he's running into battle with no hood on. Yeah.
And it's again just so you can keep track of him, but it's like it is odd. I feel like at that point you could have given him a different mark on his hood than everybody else.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but like at the same time, it's more than being able to tell them apart. It's the ability to like
see his facial expressions.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure, because I mean, there's a lot of it when he's fighting Usagi, and he realizes, oh wait, there's maybe Usagi didn't do this, but no, I'm still gonna fight you. Like being able to see his reactions are a key part of that. You're right. But it is it does stand out as you're reading it. It's like, why is he not wearing a hood? So,
but it is fun because you get a lot more introduction to the ninja, right? And they're using a lot of the ninja toolkit in this that you don't see a lot in some of the other issues.
For sure, and you get a little more of a motivation, a little more background on just who these, because the Nico ninjas, the cat ninjas, have been the villains almost the whole time. These guys that work for this evil lord, and they show up all the time, and Usagi kills a bunch of them, and then they disappear, and then so it was nice to actually see a little bit more of their motivation, and that they see it as they're serving their lord just like Usagi used to serve his in their mind.
Right. Yeah, I really like that scene where he basically says to him like, "We're just the same as you, and like just because you see us from a different perspective doesn't mean that we don't have a code of honor, that we don't do things for certain reasons. Like we're not just bloodthirsty murderers." And I think like seeing Usagi's kind of realization of that, because he kind of looked down on them, and they clearly kind of look down on the samurai because they're like they think they're superior.
Right.
It's like obviously very very much a I don't want to say allegory, but metaphor for a lot of other things.
Yeah, that is a really cool scene. Like that comes like in chapter 4, I think. Yeah, chapter 4. Like after he finds him in the storm trying to make his escape, and he wakes up, and it's like, yeah, we have you know, didn't kill him, realized that he didn't, kill his friends, and he owes him a debt, and that he has a code of honor. It might not be the same one, but I do think that's a really powerful scene between the two of them. Like that, you get that they come to an understanding that they didn't have before. So, from both perspectives. Anything else in this? I feel like we're just kind of flying through this, but what other things do you guys really want to touch on as we go through this?
Well, I want to hear from Louis.
Yeah, go ahead, Louis. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this one overall. I will say we're kind of like bouncing around. We're not sticking to anything.
Yeah, which we can bounce around however you want. So
yeah,
it's like jazz.
But no, the main lord in this one, the bad guy, was the pig with the mustache. Can't think of his name. After Jimmy, you wrote what you read, and we were talking about how maybe they replaced it. I'm no longer bothered by how he's kind of just appears out of nowhere and like doesn't have much agency to me.
Mm-hmm.
That was like probably the biggest thing that bothered me, is how it's just like, oh, we're supposed to believe he's a huge threat now, and but that now I'm okay with it.
I mean, yeah, from within the confines of the story, yes, he's a big threat because he has all the guns. But from a reader's perspective, like, we don't have that emotional association with him where we dislike him. Like, they try to, like, he tries to establish that right at the beginning, where he's like beating up Tomoe, whatever her name is. And it's like, oh, well, that's a crappy thing to do. So we clearly he's a bad guy. But, if in the previous 11 issues or whatever it was, if we had gotten hints of him being this, although I guess like part of the story is that no one's really expecting him to do such a drastic move. And if he were this dark overlord kind of with this looming shadow,
people would be paying more attention.
Right. It would be less. You wouldn't have that element of surprise that he requires to fulfill his plan. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of just like he's done so well of just putting pieces together. Like, we don't even get one issue where he's just kind of mentioned or like just popped up.
I agree.
It just felt odd to me, especially with the way the rest of this story's been going so far.
Right. Well, he comes across as somebody that was working with the guy that is supposedly the big bad, and he's been working with him, but he has ambitions of his own. And I do think they actually tell that kind of pretty well, and that's part of the reason like the ninjas get involved, is that the other guy doesn't really ever trust him anyway. Like, I know he's a bad guy, but yeah, a little bit of a setup, even of him just in the shadow of the guy that like are meeting with the snake guy who works for the guy, because we've never actually seen the big bad yet. Correct? I don't think we were.
Well, kind of
in the beginning.
He was kind of like, he was obscured in like the earlier issues when he killed Usagi's master.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'd forgotten about that. But yeah, but anyway, like even if we'd seen him kind of like visiting with the snake guy or whatever, like maybe that like gives you at least an idea of that he's out there, that he exists. Yeah. So for sure. But what did you? So yeah, because we totally skipped you on that. I'm sorry. What did you think of the ninja, like the whole Usagi and the ninja thing, Louis? What did you think about that? Like that whole story arc, two of them.
Knowing that that's Japanese for cat, I love it so much more. Because that's just so funny. It's like, oh yeah, naturally they would be the ninjas. They're very sneaky and they can be quite annoying. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. They could have like shredded him up a little bit, the main ninja. Like, I get like storytelling wise, you want to see his face, but Shredder looks different than the rest of the Foot Clan, so maybe we could have done a little bit more than that. But
I mean, at the end of the day, that it's super nitpicky, right? Like,
very nitpicky.
Like it didn't really like take me out of the story and say like, well, I don't believe this story about this anthropomorphic animals fighting in
right.
Shogun.
So unbelievable. Exactly which part were you referring to? Was it the rhino?
Yeah.
Completely believable. All right. So what do we think of, going back a little bit, what do we think of Usagi's rescue mission here? I feel like not the
No,
most
like it is not well thought through at all.
No, it was a solid plan. Get their confidence, sneak in, sneak out. I mean, he really kind of shit the bed on the whole sneaking out part, but
I was gonna say, like, he doesn't have a plan, like,
And
to
also,
get
like,
out, though.
he doesn't really sneak in either. He just lies his way in.
Yeah.
worked.
Well, it worked, but like with the expectation that they're gonna find out probably pretty quickly that you're lying, and like unless you have a very, very like well thought out escape plan. Which
I think the
clearly
promotion is what really kind of derailed it, right? You know, if we're speaking existentially here, right? You know, he goes and he's going to become, he's going to sign on to their service so he can get inside the compound and then sneak around and find her and then get out. But then he gets promoted, right, to a leader, and so he gets the captain's eye, right? So now everybody knows his name, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But it did actually give him the opportunity to get into the dungeon, right? Because he has favor.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't make it easier because he can just be like, "I'm going in there. You guys go away." Like,
well, but my point is, he doesn't have like, okay, you go down there, you discover that she's there, like, you don't have to like instantly spring her in that moment, or like snoop around and find out where she's being held for sure, instead of just
right.
like, I think she's in the dungeon, and like, let me go look, and like, and have a thought out process of, okay, when I go to try to get her out of there, here's our plan for getting out. And he does none of that.
Well, he's more preoccupied with trying to get her out than he is about helping her to fulfill her mission.
Yeah.
Because at that point, like he doesn't really know about the guns or anything, right?
No,
She's
he does
the one who
not.
tells him.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out what's going on, because he asked him some questions like about, why are all our soldiers and why are we prepared? And he's getting generic answers about, he believes in being prepared all the time, and and that kind of stuff. But
Now we're going after the
funny.
Shogun.
I also think it's funny that like maybe this is kind of, for lack of a better term, a weakness we've seen in Usagi now, where when he's auditioning to be a part of this group, and
thanks, Barbarian. Appreciate it.
and,
Beards, it's plural.
yeah. They're like, they put him up against this, fighter who's never been defeated, and like he can't pull it back at all to make himself look like not the greatest warrior ever, and he just beats him in 2 seconds. He's like,
Yeah.
Well,
he's
he
like,
doesn't
"Oh,
know that, right? It's like it's subtext. It's happening, on the stage during the fight between the captain and the Lord. So
he doesn't. The fighter doesn't say anything to him.
no, I don't believe that
Not
was
at that point. He said something later, but they just
I
line
mean,
him up.
even then, like, he doesn't have to be the greatest. He just needs to get in. He doesn't need to be so good that he's promoted. Like,
Like, yeah,
Right, he
he
kind of
has
dug
a
his own
little-
grave, is what I mean. Like a little bit.
yeah.
Usagi is a little bit.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
He's very he has a hard time
dialing it down,
dialing it down. Pulling punches, it's
not being the best Usagi he can be.
yes.
I mean, he's not subtle.
No, he is definitely not.
I mean, he is very skilled and very honorable, but subtlety is not his strong suit. And thanks, Barbarian. I appreciate you.
So yeah. So once they do, what do we think? Toma's basically forcing him to complete her mission while she continues to hide out. I think this whole sequence really shows her capability, though, of how well she hides from them, but also maybe that clearly they hired a bunch of people, but I don't know that they've hired a bunch of competent people to in this castle. But what do you think?
Quantity over quality here.
Yeah, Alec, what do you think of her decisions here?
Yeah, I mean, clearly, it gives the opportunity to show what a true badass she is. Not only is she an excellent fighter, but she's clever, she's resourceful, but she's also a little quick to sacrifice herself.
Yeah.
Like I don't think at the point where she like pushes Usagi out the door, they were at a point where it was like, well, if I don't stay back, we're definitely going to lose. I feel like they could have gone together and had each other's back on the road a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, that felt really weird to me because it looked like they were escaping together, and then just out of nowhere, she was like, "Go, I'll hold them." It's like you guys were doing pretty good.
Well, they've got a crew on their heels, and then they're coming up towards the gate, and the gate's getting closed. So they've got to hurry up. So the only way that she feels that she's gonna be able to get him free and clear is if she creates the diversion to let him go, so they don't follow both of them and chase them both.
It just felt like it was I agree. It felt a little quick in terms of a decision. I don't think it was necessarily a bad decision. It just felt like she was like, nope, I'm not. I already failed. I'm not getting out of here. You go do it. And but she doesn't. At least she doesn't do what I thought she was going to do when she slams the door, which is she was just going to stand there and fight to the death.
And just yeah.
Right. And
like take out as many people as she could until they overran her.
Yeah.
Instead, she's like,
I guess.
So I did get more respect for her decision, and actually, in many ways, like she causes a very long-term distraction, like in the castle by doing this. Yeah. Like that they got forces searching the castle, not just searching for him. So, but yeah, it did feel a little quick to me overall.
Something I just kind of thought about right now is like maybe she just kind of already considered herself dead at that point.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just like, well, I almost made it, but here, Usagi, go. At least I know that'll be taken care of.
If I'm going to die, I'm going to die for a reason.
Yeah. I'll meet the fate I already thought I was going to have.
As long as she completes her mission, she can die.
I guess that makes sense.
The poor horses in this
they have a tough time.
Yeah, you guys are talking about death, and the horses, horses do not operate very well in this one for sure. So they have a bad fate over and over again. Like the panel where Usagi's horse gets cut, like the horse
it's like, what the hell?
Don't be a horse in Usagi Yojimbo.
It's like a red shirt.
Don't wear a red shirt on the Enterprise.
Yeah, it's
unless you're in Next Generation.
There you go. All right. Well, that brings us to back to after, because we already talked a little bit about Usagi and the ninjas that he meets up with as he's escaping, but that brings us back to Gen and Ino. And we get the fight. What did you guys think about their battle? There's Jimmy showing that one off.
Nice little cover image.
Yeah, for sure. And you get, of course, we get it during a thunderstorm, and a little crack in the back, and I guess it did. So.
Well, after Usagi has his acid dream.
Oh yeah, Usagi does have the acid dream with the dragon.
Straight tripping.
Yeah.
I feel like Stan just wanted to show off at how badass a dragon he could draw.
Right?
Just a little bit. It is a little, it's a little, because he was fighting and he passed out from being like from the fight, but it was a little weird why he went on an acid trip instead of like he didn't get poisoned. So that was a
fever dreams.
Yeah, that was a little bizarre, but so Louis, what did you think of the Gen and Ino fight here? As we get,
I thought it was great. I loved the build up to it the whole time, and then just that badass stare down of them. They're like, we don't have to do this, just kind of like any samurai movie, I guess, but it's still badass to see, especially when you learn to love these characters over all the stories we've read so far.
Yeah. What about you, Jimmy? What did you think of this fight?
So which fight? Because there's a few.
Well, the first one, the first time that they here as they show the showdown here in was it issue 4, right when he first catches up to him the first time finally.
Yeah, so obviously he's Jen has underestimated the skills of Cthulouie because Jen's kind of a blowhard.
Yeah,
and doesn't really realize it until
Hubris.
Zato cuts off his horn,
Yeah.
and that's
At
when
which
he's
point
kind of
it's
like a little reserved about, oh shit,
yeah.
I may
This guy
lose.
might actually be better than me.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a couple of guys who are a little bit, for sure, a little overconfident in their own abilities here, just fighting. I mean, although they're both excellent, but yeah, I don't think either one of them perceives that they could lose in this particular fight, which is kind of, Zato was kind of his hubris against Usagi we've seen before, and this is Gen and us realizing, Gen's, probably not going to win this. It doesn't appear. Before they get interrupted, what do you think of this fight, Alec?
Yeah, I mean it's like the build up to it is the payoff is worth it, right? Like
Yeah.
the whole thing is drawn really dynamically. It's exciting. Like you can see the action, even though it's clearly still images. And they are seem very evenly matched, which they should be. And then we got Usagi and the Neko ninjas show up to kind of end things and tell them, "Hey, we got bigger fish to fry."
Yeah, the panel with Usagi and the with the lightning behind him and the ninjas is just
really cool.
Yeah, just a great panel.
and Spot.
And Spot, like Spot. So Usagi makes a deal with the two of them, and you can see Ino takes the deal mainly because he's like, well, maybe I can finally get what he's been searching for. But Gen's sort of like, well, this might give me a chance to actually win this fight, where he was thinking he might lose. So,
well, yeah, he's thinking like, well, worst case scenario, this guy dies. I can just take his head and cash in on the bounty. So win-win.
Yeah, for sure. Until he hears attack a fortress, then he's, like, wait, a fortress? He's not super happy about that part.
Right? Yeah.
Of course,
what did you get me in?
He always wants the path of least resistance, right? Like he wants to do the least amount of work for the most amount of reward.
There was one other thing that I believe is it in this?
We did kind of skate over the fact that he did ask Shingen to send one of the ninja to tell Lord Noriyuki.
Yes, we did
about the details.
And where was that at? Let me get back to that.
That was back to the beginning.
So, well, he sends the ninja right before this, but that doesn't actually arrive until we're into the battle here.
The fifth issue, 17
chapter, and we actually see that while he's not really, a great warrior, but we see that Lord Noriyuki is not as helpless as he was when we first met him in the earlier Usagi stories.
Yeah, because he was a kid at the beginning.
Yeah. So yeah, he's clearly aged up a little bit. I mean, he's not an adult yet, but he's definitely been training to not be helpless, and that it appears to be at least somewhat paying off, for sure, and that he's a little more, I guess, he's becoming more and more capable all the time. Is the one thing I would take out of this section, just in this discussion and everything else, and more practical. Because he's growing up. What did you guys think of this sequence with the ninja visiting him?
I think it was pretty cool. I think it just demonstrates that obviously he's probably training with Tomei and maybe some of the other people he has. Also, something I just kind of forgot about till right now. Didn't the ninja say that was his sister or something? Or
yes,
yeah, Shingen's sister.
So yes, he goes,
Yeah.
"May the gods protect you, Shingen, my brother." As he takes the mask off, which in that moment, I don't know about the rest of you. I was like, "Oh, Shingen dies."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Right,
clearly,
why else should we say? Yeah.
Yeah.
clearly we just got a new ninja because they
Just
showed us
telegraphed
three.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, we just clearly got a new ninja to lead them and be the face of the Neko ninjas. Because I was like, oh yeah, I was like, okay, he's
But
not
let's
gonna
be
make
honest.
out.
I mean, nobody went out with more pizzazz than Shingen did.
No, for sure.
Not with a bang.
Yeah.
But it's
So let's get into this.
it took him long enough. Clunk, 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 clunk.
You really telegraphed that there was like 12 of them.
Yeah, right. Like he's really going
Spark,
after this.
spark, I need a spark. I was like, so let's get into the battle here. Like they're kind of, they infiltrate, they blow a hole in the wall so they can all kind of charge in and try to get
Yeah,
to
the
where
very
they,
Battle of Helm's Deep.
yeah, the very
Yeah,
Helm's
right.
Deep, you know. So what do you guys think of this final battle? What stands out to you guys in this whole battle sequence? Louis, we'll start with you this time.
All the ninja.
All the ninjas? Okay.
All the
Well,
ninjas.
go ahead, Jimmy. That's it? That's all that stands out to you about the battle? Is all the ninjas?
No, you were talking to Louis. I kind of stepped on him. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Louis, what do you think? What stood out about this? What was what parts of this fight did you enjoy the most?
I just really liked how they gave everybody their moments. And then I really loved the moment with Jen and Eno when Eno sacrifices himself, well, sort of, to save him. That's something that happened quite a bit in this whole volume, was the fake outs with the deaths. Like you think Tomei's gone, and you think he's gone, and it makes the last one where someone actually is gone very frustrating for me. So I was like, it's like, really? This is where you choose to do it?
That's the one he chooses to kill? Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor spot.
But they do it in a nice way that, fits everything. It was kind of sweet, actually, but at the same time, it's just like, man, you fake me out just so this hurts even more.
And I think another theme I kind of touched on before, you mentioned the fake out deaths. I think another theme is kind of like this idea of making assumptions about your enemy or like underestimating other warriors. Like that seems to be something that is recurring as well.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, even Shingen, we get to fake out before he actually does die.
Right.
Because it's like, he's dead. Oh, wait, no, he's not.
And we also, for at least a brief moment, think that maybe Usagi killed him at the waterfall, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Messing with expectations a lot in this volume.
Yeah.
It's a really well crafted story, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. Is like every beat, was meaningful and played into the overall.
Yeah,
but it also reminds me of 47 Ronin.
Yeah, right. I mean, like the storyline itself is not like this, like unusually out there, like creative story. The way it is told is what's better than the story itself, I guess. And that's kind of what I meant when I was talking about it at the beginning, is that like the story's fine, and it's engaging and it's done masterfully, but like the story itself is not anything I feel like I haven't really seen before.
Right.
It's just Stan demonstrating he knows how to write.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's how it's presented is what makes it.
And again, like it's done better than a lot of other things that are similar, but
yeah. I mean, even
that's true. I mean, we have to consider that it is early in Stan's career that he drafted this, right? And coming from a guy who was pretty much just doing the lettering for Guru the Wanderer, into his own and into a property that has spanned decades.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Since you don't have the collected version, at the beginning of the book, it says, "To Dave Thorne, who taught me how to think like a cartoonist, and Sergio Aragonés, who showed me how to see as an artist.
Yeah.
It's on the dedication page or whatever.
Okay.
Speaking of Gru, I really liked this moment with Usagi and the captain, where they basically say like, under other circumstances we could have been friends.
Yeah. I feel like that's already been a bit of a recurring theme with him and other warriors, and
where it's like our duty comes before or our honor or whatever it is that comes before whatever other factors may be contributing. Like I like you, but I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to do what I believe my duty is, or what I believe the honorable thing is here, even if it means killing someone that could be a friend. And
well, I mean, he tells him, he says, I'm sad it must end like this. I am too, but you made fools of us.
Yeah.
It can end no other way. So like he's dedicated to it regardless. It's not just about his code. It's about, his personal honor and dignity.
Yeah. Okay. So we get to the wrap up here.
Wait. No. We gotta show. How many times did he hit that flint?
1, 2. Well, we hear him a couple times over here, and then it's several.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10 times.
And then we get the end.
Yeah, the walk away from the explosion. They should be walking or running. They should be just like,
yeah, good thing they were all out of there already, huh?
Run away!
Yeah. They're already retreating, for sure. So.
Yep. But yeah, we get to the close of the story.
And we get Usagi once again refusing to serve. This guy's been trying to get him into service repeatedly, and Usagi keeps like, no, can't do it. But he also
gives a good reason, in this story.
He does finally actually give his reason, really, here.
Right, yeah. Which is that he has a master. He happens to be dead, but he has a master, and that's who he
He feels like it's
to serve and like
one.
Yeah.
For sure.
It can only serve one master in his lifetime.
Yeah. But we also get another little insight into Gen, which we saw a little bit the last time we saw him with the kids, where he ended up helping the kids instead of, taking the whole reward. Mm-hmm. And once again, we see that he, he basically let Ino slip away and let everyone think he was dead. And so instead of, not that Ino's in great shape, but he did allow him to at least, slip away without having to face any kind of consequences for his previous actions and that kind of thing. So
right, allow him the opportunity to find the peace that he was looking for.
Yeah. And so we get into his finale, and he finds an isolated village that he's been, which is basically what he's been looking for this whole time, to get off the beaten track. But not quite that easy. He runs into some bandits. So what did you think about Ino's little finale here? And do we think it's the finale? You guys have probably read ahead, but what did you think, and do you think it's the finale for him that we see of him? Alec, what do you think about this?
Well, first I want to just bring up the fact that Homeboy is yoked.
Right? He's a ripped pig.
I was about to say that's the strongest pig I've ever seen.
That guy. He's like,
yeah, he's been working out.
Yeah,
he's turtle strong.
Some gains. No, I liked this story. Like, it felt very reminiscent of like a lot of the single issue stories from previous collections, where he is in place of Usagi going into this village who needs his help, and he steps up to save this village from the bandits, and poor Spot.
Poor Spot.
That was like, that would hurt. Oh man, it's like, oh really?
By the way, workout plan because he's
Yeah, it's like,
Look at those guns.
yeah.
you know, they've been training together. So
He didn't skip leg day.
no, they
He
did not.
skip like that.
What about you, Louis? What do you think of Eno's here wrap up?
I hate that Spot died, obviously, but I like why it happened because that was his companionship throughout, and now he's finally found a new place where he has a bunch of companions, not just one.
Yeah.
And I really hope, I mean, this isn't going to be the last we see of him. It'd be nice to think that's the last we see of him. He actually gets like a nice happy ending.
Yeah.
But when he does come back, if he does come back, I hope it's kind of tragic, you know, like, oh, I was going to retire tomorrow kind of a deal, you know?
One day from retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd at least like to think that he has a good chunk of happiness before he comes back to save Usagi and die.
That would be nice. It would be nice for sure. Jimmy, what do you think about this? You're the one I didn't. And go ahead.
It was definitely probably one of my favorite points of the stories was getting to this. Yes, again, you know, terrible that Spot dies, but like not unexpected, and it's got a very Yojimbo vibe to it, you know, where he rolls in and, you know, there's bandits and, you know, he's got to step up and be the savior. There's just no, you know, warring factions is the only difference, but the fact that they come back and they're like, oh my God, that was that dude. We're gonna get a huge bounty. We're gonna kill everybody there, and it's, you know, it's like he's forced to again become the samurai. You know, he doesn't get a moment's peace, but once they're all dispatched, you hope that is the end.
Yeah.
For him, that he can, you know, set it aside and sniff the flowers.
Yeah. And I do think it's, you know, because from the moment we met him, he's been this conflicting character because, like, he's been like an outlaw, and he clearly has a temper that he has trouble. He's had trouble controlling, but he also comes across in many cases as being honorable or trying to do the honorable thing, and like circumstances have not always helped him, and his own temper doesn't help him. But to see him actually, you know, be the hero for this village and maybe potentially have a chance to actually, yeah. My hope is we don't see him. I doubt. My guess is like all of these kind of things is that we will, but for sure, I definitely hope that we don't. That would be, to me, that would be a nice wrap up for this particular character. So we'll see what happens going forward. Anything else you guys want to discuss in this whole thing? I mean, the only other scene we get here is the little scene where we get the you know, the big bad is Laura, you know, the Hikiki. I can't say it.
Well,
Yeah,
that's his emissary.
he's still out there, basically. That,
Yeah.
you know, there's a bigger battle probably coming at some point. But overall, anything else you guys want to discuss before we wrap this up?
Yeah, it's a good continuation, and that little 2-pager at the end, you know, just kind of keeps the story going instead of, you know, putting any finality into it.
Yeah.
You know, the underlying story rather than just the Usagi travels.
Okay. Alec, what about you? Anything else you want to touch on here before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, I could have spent an hour talking about that dude's guns, so that's all I really wanted to make sure we talked about. So I'm good.
All right.
Swole pig.
Swole pig.
Yeah,
So, Louis, what about you? Any other thoughts on this as we wrap this up here?
No, not any really. It's just I've really enjoyed this series. It's just reading serialized fiction, like currently, this is something I wouldn't have gone out there and done on my own, was like read this. Yeah. I'm just glad I have, because it's just fun. I haven't read an issue yet where it's just I'm disappointed. Even the ones where I don't enjoy as much as the others, I still enjoy so much more than most things I read nowadays.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I mean, I
can't
think
beat the 80s.
Well, I just think, like, in some ways it's this weird combination of simple yet sophisticated storytelling that, like, he's, you know, he's sending you, giving you some deeper messages and giving you some. But I mean, it's a fairly straightforward tale. It's a, but I really enjoy it. I really enjoyed this volume overall. I don't know that it's my favorite volume or anything, but I did really enjoy it. And I like that we pulled a lot of these characters together and kind of, again, got a bigger look at his world as a whole and the bigger events. And then I hope, having said that, I hope the next volume is all like one-off Usagi traveling down to town. So, I just kind of like to just kind of go back and forth a little bit, for sure. So
something you just said where, it's simple but masterful storytelling.
Yeah.
I think that it's a credit to Stan Sakai that he is able to do that, though, because I'm of the mindset where, like, if I go to a new pizza place, I always get a cheese pizza because it's harder to make a really good cheese pizza than it is to throw a bunch of extra toppings to add flavor. Like, to do the simple things is harder. Vanilla ice cream, another thing, where it's like, sure, you can do Rocky Road fish food, like chuck all this stuff in there to make it taste better, but like to do something simple and masterful is oftentimes more challenging than doing something complicated and passable.
No, that makes sense for sure.
True.
Okay. Well,
little philosophy from White Whales.
The White Whale philosophy. I like it. All right. Well, we're at our hour. So, any final thoughts on this before we wrap it up here? By anybody?
Looking forward to the next volume.
Okay. Yeah. If people are still on the fence about reading Usagi, pick a side, man, because like it's just like, everyone should just be reading this. It's a real shame that there's so many bad books out there that people eat up, and that this, like, these current series, like, unless you're subbed to it in most shops, you're probably not going to see it on the shelf.
Honey Kate.
Well, and the nice thing is, I will say, is these early volumes are now back in print. When we first started doing this, a few of them were out of print, and they appear to be back. That they're like, you can actually order them just on Amazon and stuff at the moment. And they are actually reprinting them in a color version if you want right now. They're doing a color version that's also coming out.
No.
I would recommend reading the black and white, but if somebody wants the color, they are actually doing that as well. So
it always makes it.
You have access.
It always makes me think. I think it was a joke from that old cartoon show, The Critic, with John Lovitz, where they make a joke about Ted Turner colorizing old movies, and like Ted Turner runs onto the screen and yells, "I'm gonna colorize the moon."
Okay. That I didn't remember. I watched some of that show, but I didn't remember that one. So.
But something I was going to mention is, do you know that there's a Usagi show on Netflix here in a couple weeks or something?
Supposedly, yeah, it's like
Space Usagi.
Space Usagi thing. Like, it's not actually him. It's like, I don't know. It's
like a new character they made.
Space Usagi is a character. I think his first appearance is in some Turtles book.
Space Usagi.
Yeah. The Bone series got canceled though.
Boo.
Yeah, much to my dismay.
Yeah, nobody reads that anyway.
Yeah.
Mostly because they can't find
only weirdos.
It's hard to find.
First turn of that book.
So. All right. Well, with that, we're gonna close it out. I think, Jimmy, you got something coming up you want to pitch real quick before we get out of here?
I do. In 10 minutes on my channel, I have a massive stack of unboxings to do, a fat stack, I would characterize it as. So hopefully I'm going to get JP to join me for at least a few minutes and crack open some packages that I've allowed to accumulate. That's all I got going on. Yeah.
Alec, you got anything coming up? You gonna start making videos again?
I mean, one day, but in the meantime, I'm going to be on your channel on Sunday to play D&D.
That's right. We are going to play D&D on Sunday. I'll have my usual weekend stuff, and Louis still, thinking about it, but not doing the channel stuff yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do it. Life's just busy. My wife's going to graduate grad school here in a couple weeks, so once that's done, we'll see what happens. Thank you. I'll pass it
All
along.
right. Well, there you go. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And with that, we will get out of here. Later.
Bye.